is my autoethnography for my anthropology class. This is an autoethnography on the life of a student. Now, it's kind of hard to talk about, really. I mean, it's really difficult. I mean, it's hard to talk about yourself for 30 minutes about a school, British school life. I have mixed experiences in school. By the way, if y'all hear knocking about, that's the roof, guys. So I apologize. Um, but my school life has been mixed. Some good, some bad. A lot of it on the bad side. Mostly what was bad about my schooling was not necessarily the teachers, but the students. And you'll find, and I mainly find that a lot of the difficulty in early schooling, whether it be kindergarten, from kindergarten to to high school, the teachers aren't necessarily the problems children will face. It's the sorry, it's not the teachers yet. Not the teachers the students problems the students will face. It's the students, and that's what I experienced. A lot of kids mess with me because I was different. I was also a lot of times the teacher's pet. I was a smart kid of the class. All those things are fuel for children to basically point their uh you know grievances towards, and not always uh civil fashions, I guess you could say. Civil would be a really weird term to use in cultural anthropology, because that's a really it's not really a term that I would like to use, but it's the best term I can come up with. I was bullied a lot in school, from kindergarten up. In high school, it was less. High school was less bullying, but it was still difficult. The life of a student in mainstream, I should be focused on here, mainstream schooling, is very difficult, especially if you're autistic. Like me, I'm autistic. I'm high function autistic, so you wouldn't really know until I said it. And so, but that's with medications. No one outside my family to this date has experienced me without medications, and it's you do not want to experience it. I'm sorry. I'm a loose cannon. Anyways, enough about that. It's kind of to talk about life as students. I mean, it's hard to find words to put into words what life of a student is like. I mean, I was one of those kids that I didn't want to get up in the morning, but it wasn't because of school. I mean, sometimes it was. I mean, especially when it came to the fact that I knew I had classes with certain bullies. Those times I didn't really want to go to school. But when I ended up in, let's say, uh, high school was when I started actually well, even middle school, almost wanted to go to school. Sixth grade was not that time period. Sixth grade, I wanted to stay home. I did not like school. Sixth grade was the worst year for me when it came to bullying. But also the worst year for me as far as grades were. I mean, I'm pretty sure I did not do well in that year. I probably passed by the graces of the teachers, but 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 when it came down to middle school, I found classes that I really liked: history, science, and tech. One class I always looked forward to. Every day I looked forward to it was tech ed. I mean, I love working with my hands. I love working with them. I mean, I grew up with my mom teaching me, you know, the bare minimums of car maintenance, changing your oil, changing your tires, rotating them if need be, checking air filters, changing air filters if need be, and even changing your brakes. These are, hold on, sorry, 7 basic things you should be able to do with your car. And it usually kind of irks me. It's nothing that really irks me. It's the little, it's the things that people don't know how to do that are so basic. Okay, I'll admit, changing your tire, not changing your oil can be a little complicated, especially if you don't necessarily know how the oil works. Changing your brakes. That one I can give people, some credit on. I mean, about not knowing. Changing certain brakes can be a little bit difficult, especially if we're talking drum brakes. But that's don't get into that. But air filters and your tires, those should be things you should know. Another thing you should know about owning a car is, to me, you should always keep a jumper cable in your car. That's just me. But I'm getting off tangent here. Okay. But growing up with a family that did things, that worked with their hands, that any job project that needed to be done in the house, we did it ourselves. We called them professionals if need be, but we didn't always do that. And so growing up with a family like that was basically, as one of my neighbors coined the term, can-do family. I really grew up loving working with my hands, carving, woodcutting, anything. So getting into a tech ed class was like a dream come true to me, and I loved every day of that class. And I took 2 years of it, Tech Ed 1, Tech Ed 2. There were some classes I didn't like, math chief among them. I did not like math. I cannot do math in my head for the life of me, and I can't do it fast. Give me a calculator and I can do it with some degree of efficiency. But remove the calculator, I can't. And so learning math was one class I did not like. English, I like writing. I like writing. I do love spinning a tale. I love philosophy. I love writing poetry. But the problem becomes not from the writing or the want of writing it. The problem comes from, in this case, the teachers. Not necessarily the teachers themselves, but it's the idea of an English class. To me, English classes are kind of a weird thing for me. I like reading. I'll bear in mind that. I like writing. I just don't like being told that what I wrote is essentially, I'll accept certain criticism, but when you tell me that my entire paper is wrong, it's like, what's wrong about it? And the teachers start pointing out all these errors. I'm like, no one ever told me. This is the problem with English classes that I felt is missing from the curriculum. English classes are one of the classes where I feel it is not necessarily the teacher's fault, but the school system's fault. And what I'm talking about here is the fact that they don't tell you the whole mechanics of the English language. I mean, you'll get people that tell you, to this day, I still don't know where to put a darn semicolon. Okay? I don't know where to put a semicolon. All I know is that I put a... Wait, is it semicolon or colon? Oh, yeah. I put it in colon when I want to list things that are kind of a lengthy list instead of a comma. But I don't know where to place a semicolon. The finer points, basically, as far as the English teachers taught us, was basics of grammar, the basics of spelling, the base pronunciations, but they didn't go into detail of what was needed of us. What was so it's no wonder so many people have so many grammar errors in their classes. It's because these things are not conveyed. And that's the system failing the children, not necessarily the children failing the system. In my opinion, of course. Okay? This is just my growing up as a child in school and, my experiences. But come high school, I found more of my niche. I love history. I love science. And I even took an Autotech class. I still love working with my hands. I mean, if I could work on my own car, like if I had a car that I could work on without having to have an engineering degree, oh my god, I would be a happy man. I really would. I love vehicles. I mean, I just love working on vehicles. I love working with my hands, and still to this day. And some of my favorite teachers were my science teachers and my history teachers. And with two exceptions really. The two exceptions to my favorite teachers my two were two particular English teachers I had. This is my senior year, yes, my senior year English teacher. Very funny man. I mean, he made the class worth going to. He enjoyed the reading. He enjoyed conveying the message. He made the teaching actually fun to go to. My sophomore year English teacher was one of the teachers that actually got me more into my writing. The books I like to write, I still have not finished them, but she was one of the few teachers that took an interest in what I wrote, and basically took an interest in all of what we wrote. And if it was good, she let us know it was really good. I already had, my mom already loves my writing, but hearing a teacher actually tell you your writing is actually worth continuing, that's something that I missed as a child growing up in earlier years, is that someone telling you when you did something really good and then telling you need to do more of this, that you need to actually that not saying you need to, but that you should focus on this, that this is something that you could be great at. Now, of course, this is paraphrasing, but she was one of the teachers that those who did good writing, she encouraged us to write. And that's what and so often, sometimes it's the teachers. Yes, the teachers do end up bad, but sometimes it's the students. And I joined up at a club that she ran called Spartan Scribes. I went to Cy Lakes High School, and Spartan Scribes was just a small little creative writing group. The only other creative writing group was Red Poet Society, and that was pretty exclusive, pretty demanding. I didn't have the time for it, so I joined her club, and it really was just a very lax club. We talked about our writing. She gave us tips on, writing. Gave us tips on getting published. The kind of things we should look out for in our writing. The type of things we should be, the type of creative techniques. And this is what I love about some teachers, is that they give you information. One of my main things I love growing up in school is that some teachers I love teachers that go on tangents, that will go off the main topic just a little bit, just on the right side of the main topic, but just also on the right side of being off it. And this is something I love because it gives you more information that you would not get if the teacher just went by the textbook. But I but I love that. I mean, it gives more information. Of course, it whittles down a little bit on what you're actually supposed to be learning, but you get more out of it. It's much more. It's more worthwhile to do it. Worthwhile to be in that class if it's gonna happen. Because then you're not relying on what the system is trying to teach you. You're getting the actual input of the teachers of what they know, not necessarily what the system, is wanting us to know, but what they want us to know. And that's that personal level of teachers that I like. And I've had a good few of those in my in my schooling. Dr. Bruner is one of them, that's for sure. My other teachers, uh, uh, I think it's Linda Griggs, my sophomore English teacher. Hello, Miss Griggs. Uh, from Cy Lakes. I can't remember my senior year high school teacher for English teacher for the life of me, but yeah, I mean, it's not all roses though. High school year, I had some problems with some students, but I had more of a fuse to deal with it, and any student that goes through mainstream schooling is going to end up with someone either bullying them or end up bullying themselves, and it's something that, yes, we try to deal with in school, but ultimately it's up to the kids themselves to deal with it, because the teachers and the parents can intervene, but it's up to the students to actually enforce that. And I was one of those kids that, if you had problems with me and you bullied me, you better be prepared for me to not take it. I don't take bullying. I don't take being bullied, and I don't take and I won't let other people be bullied. And it's just one of those things where I never accepted it. I mean, it's not something anyone should accept. But it's up to the students to do this, to enforce it. Not always do the teachers catch it. Not always does the parents catch it. It's up for the children to voice it, to not only to voice it, but also to stand up against it. Sorry, I got an itch. Um, and that's what my life was like. I had to deal with the bullying. You know, I would tell the APs and the teachers that I was being bullied, and they would take care of it. But when you're like not anywhere near a teacher, when no one but the other students are around, you're on your own. You have to defend, yeah, not say defend yourself, but you have to stand up for yourself. And that's a hard thing for a student in the mainstream, especially when you're a student that doesn't necessarily come from a strong family like mine. My family usually instills in our family members that you don't put up with people who are giving you crap. I mean, you don't ever throw the first blow, of course, but you don't put up when someone's messing with you. I mean, you either just ignore them or you tell them, "Hey, back off, leave me alone." It's one of those things. But you do it in a manner that's not gonna not gonna cause a problem. That was my problem. There were times where I've gotten into fights, not necessarily that I started, because I never threw the first blow, but because the student just outright attacked me, even though I verbally told them back off from me, and somehow they took it as a sign that they could attack me. I don't know how, but they did. And I just I couldn't put up with it, and there are times where I had some dark thoughts, and but my family instills in the family members to be strong, to be strong-willed, and growing up as a student in high school and all the lower grades, I had to be strong because I was autistic. the oddball out half the time. I found friends that I could be around. But when I moved schools, from cause I'm at my sixth grade, but when I moved to a different school, I end up when I moved to a different location, I moved to a different school. They're still within, a few, a good, just within a car ride, not a very long car ride either. But it was far enough that I went to a different school, which was weird because the schools were like this close. I mean, I'm a subdivision away from the school that I used to go to. That's the weird thing. Not a very big subdivision either. And that's one of my grievances of the school system. I have two schools right here. And yet, if you're on like this side of the school of the barrier, you go to that school. And, but they're like so close. It makes no sense to me. But again, I'm going off tangent. Off subject. But I couldn't always rely on them to be there with me, to provide support, so I supported myself. And I did have another friend that I found in Side Lakes, and so me and him kind of stuck together, Oh, you usually had lunch together. We had the same lunch period, and so we would eat lunch together. Our little geek club, as it were. I mean, we loved gaming, we loved anime, and, we occasionally talk, but not quite so much anymore. But it's not always the person themselves that support that end up being that end up that end up it's not, it's not always the people. Oh. No, I'm recording. It's not always the people. It's not always the students themselves that support themselves. It's the friends that they have, and sometimes it's good friends that help keep them supported, and that's what's crucial in the school systems. And so growing up in mainstream, finding the right friends can be crucial, as is having the right teachers and having a decent family. But if you don't have those things, it's struggling. When I got to college, I was a fish out of water. I didn't know how college systems worked. I mean, I didn't have, I was used to not having quite the much free roam that I had in college. But I adapted pretty quickly because I got into the swing of being in school. That I always went to my classes when I had classes. I had a regular schedule, and that was key, a schedule. Having that regiment of going to school at a certain time, getting to class at a certain time, when I'm supposed to go to the next class, that regimental routine of consistency of when my classes were and stuff like that was crucial to me. But also, what was crucial to me when finding teachers for learning in Lone Star was finding finding the teachers that would not only give an honest grade, but weren't too strict, and also didn't, and also had a little air of like not always staying on topic. Because even though a review might say don't always stay on topic, to me that's actually a decent sell. Because if you stay on topic too much, you don't learn everything. You don't learn enough, in my opinion. But if you're not on topic, so much, then you lose the entire what you're supposed to learn. But and so, being in college, it's much, to me, it's far easier than being in a mainstream grade school. And that is actually something that I look forward that when I look forward to going to my classes. A few I don't. They're just crazy. But but certain classes I look forward to. And some of these classes that I took in college, I took not just because I had needed credits, but because they sounded like a decent class to take. Something in an area that I could actually like, or could possibly like, something that might interest me. And that's key, taking classes that you might find interest in. I took Dr. Bruner's class, in his metaphysical anthropology class. I took that partially because I needed needed credits, but I took it because it seemed interesting. The idea of it being kind of a science, be it kind of a history. You're examining things, yet you're going through history. And before then, I had never really heard of the term anthropology, which is surprising to me. But I'd always heard the term archaeologist, paleontologist. I heard primatologist here and there, but I never heard of anthropologist. And I was interested, and so I took the class, and I fell in love with anthropology. It's those taking those classes that you don't know too much about, but on the tin seem interesting. Those kind of classes have the potential to make you just fall in love with an entire field of study, and such as gives anthropology. Dr. Brunner made anthropology so worthwhile to go to, and Dr. Brunner is the best example I can give of a teacher that makes the class a class worth going to, worth taking, even though even though you may not want to go to college that day, I look forward to the classes, and I just college is so much better to me than a normal grade school, because it's not necessarily that it's more regimented, but the teachers have more information to give than the teachers in a high school. Not that they're lesser teachers, but they that they have more freedom, I guess you say, to to tell to talk, because they're not trying to teach people that are adolescent and are quote unquote as the board would view, too young to know certain things. And that most of these teachers are teaching people that are pretty much adults, and so they have more freedom to say what they want to say, and not they still have to hold their tongue a bit, but they have more freedom to speak their mind. And to me, that's more important in a class setting, is candor. To define the term, candor being the freedom to speak your mind, and the freedom to speak your mind, of the extra information, all that stuff you glean from a college setting, to me is much better than any, much more freeing than any school I ever gone to before. Thank you for your time. I hope this has been a decent ethnography. Anyways, see you guys.